So this is a match around for me personally, obviously, because the Broncos got the win. They were paying, what were they paying? About $4, I think?
Fours, yep.
$4, so plenty of value there. So if you got on that on Sportsbet, you would have been a winner. But yeah, Broncos 13, Panthers 12. This is an interesting game because obviously it's an upset for one, but I'd make an argument where Broncos' attack wasn't even that good. It was just their defense that was incredible. And then you go even deeper, is you're like, was Broncos' defense incredible, or was Penrith Panthers' attack just a bit stale? I'm not sure. The Broncos get the job done down in Penrith. Go to you first, Timmy. Is it alarm bells down in Penrith, or just going to, like we suggested last week, where the Penrith may just ease into this year because they've been so high for so long?
Mate, 3 unbelievable seasons in a row from Penrith. They had, nearly their entire side was involved in the World Cup, and not just in the World Cup, but deep into the World Cup, going all the way through to the final. They had the World Club Challenge, which was another big game that they sort of had to prepare for. There had to be a downer at some point, and I mean, NRL speaking, it's only one game. Sure, they lost the World Club Challenge. They had change of personnel. I mean, it's a slower start than probably most anticipated, but it's absolutely not alarm bells. It's one game of footy that, they lost by a point to Brisbane, who at times last season were a top 4 team. We said up in Armidale on the weekend before the game, we're like, obviously Penrith should be red hot favourites, but Brisbane absolutely have the cattle to win this game, and they have. It's like the hysteria coming out was as if they got done by 30 points or something. It was 1 point.
Yep.
So, no, I don't think it's alarm bells, and as I said, it's off the mark poorly, but they'll be fine.
And I think people are underestimating, like, that $4 was probably a bit wide. Like, Broncos are super hard because they could have gone down there and got pumped by 40 and we all would have said, oh, yep, young side. But Broncos at their best, they're almost a title threat, almost. So I don't think they're a title threat yet, but they're not far off it, especially with another year in Ezra Mam. What do you think about the game, Guru?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you would have had the Brisbane Broncos against Penrith last year when Brisbane were at their best, you're not getting 4s. No way.
Yeah.
And, it's round one. I think people are overreacting for Penrith a little bit. I think people are looking at the World Club Challenge in this game. They've played awfully and they've lost both games by 1 point. Let's settle down.
Yeah.
I also think there's a number of things. It's not very often I don't agree with Ivan Cleary's decisions, but I think there's a number of things that he can do to this side that will make a big difference very quickly. There's obviously reasons for everything that's been done, and maybe there's injuries or carrying whatever, but I thought that Sonny Luke playing those limited minutes on the weekend, I could not believe that it played out that way, and it didn't shock me in the slightest, though. It looked like a different footy side when he was on the field.
Yeah, the Sonny Luke, we'll get to the Panthers. The Sonny Luke situation, look, I can, having been in the system for quite a while, a lot of coaches, it seems obvious to everyone else, put on the rookie, get him in there. We know he's a gun. He's played New South Wales Cup. But there's a lot of times where they play really well in reserve grade, they get to first grade, and they just go to water. Or they make 2 or 3 errors, and they just don't seem to play that well. So it's building that trust with the head coach where to say, if you put me in the side, you put me on the field, I don't necessarily think I'll explode the game apart, but what I won't do is I won't let you down. And I do think that Ivan Cleary's thinking probably was, in such a tight match, in such a crucial time, Sonny Luke, a small attacking hooker, do I know whether he'll be able to handle those big forwards through the middle in the crunch time? Now, I think he proved that he probably could, but before he does that, you just never know. And I think that may be where Ivan was coming from. Now, I do think that, as you said, in hindsight, it was probably the wrong call because when he did come on, he looked incredible and they all of a sudden had a lot of momentum around the ruck. But I think that may have been Ivan's thinking.
Yeah, which is interesting because, once again, Ivan's forgotten more than I know about rugby league, no doubting that. But I just, for anyone that's watched Sonny Luke come through reserve grade and everything, there's no one I've spoken to that has watched him play anything that it made sense to. So that's what, yeah.
I was just saying, we're overlooking the fact that he missed both trials with injury. So round one, probably just easing him back.
And that's what I'm saying. Maybe there's injury to it or whatever. But from what I've gathered, I think he was right to go for that World Club Challenge. They rested him for that. I mean, I think with the Panthers, it hasn't started perfectly. It's far from a train wreck. They play South Sydney on Thursday night. They then got a bye. I reckon you'll see them come out of this bye with a bit of a different looking squad and different minutes for guys and stuff.
How many minutes does Sonny Luke play this week?
I would say 55.
You reckon? Wow.
Mate, he's an 80-minute hooker in reserve grade the last few years. Their attack is just too clunky with Mitch Kenny at 9.
I will say an underappreciated factor going into this season is not only have they lost, all those big players, Kick-Out, Api Coruscant, they lost both their assistant coaches as well.
Yep.
That's a big, because the assistant coach is like the link man between the head coach and the players. He's almost like, he never delivers the bad news. He delivers the good news, but also he's very he can get quite detailed in attacking structures and all that. And so, maybe it may take time for Penrith to adjust to that as well. Life without not just one assistant coach, 2 assistant coaches, and they lost Trent Barrett a couple of years before that.
And that's to compound that, obviously, losing Trent Barrett. So they had to replace him. They did, then they had to replace him again. And knowing Penrith, they might have to replace him again next year, realistically, because everyone's going to come for them. But I think that if they can put him on for more minutes, and I would 100% still start with Mitch Kenny, but I just think you need to get Sonny Luke on there earlier. And I've still got a lot of question marks about that left edge. Luke Garner only played 50 minutes on the weekend. Zach Hosking was 18th man. I reckon they're going to come out of this bye and Hosting's going to be playing on the left edge personally.
Do they have a bye next week?
They've got South this week, and I reckon they'll give all these guys another chance because at the end of the day, they lost by 1 point.
Yeah.
But I reckon there's a good chance they come out of that bye with Sonny Luke being a 55, 60-minute guy and Hosking on the left edge.
Yep. And post-game, there was a little bit of a blow-up between Luai and Salmon. I mean, it's a nothing thing. I think, and most fans know this, but if you're in any industry where you're at the tippity top, high performing, this is the kind of way you speak to each other. And maybe it's wrong. Maybe I'm wrong in regards to you shouldn't speak to each other that way. And I'll be honest, myself personally, moving into business, Matty can attest to us. I'm quite brutal in regards to my feedback, and can be this isn't. And obviously, I'm getting better at the way I deliver it. But that's in top tier systems. When you expect 10 out of 10 from each other, that's just going to happen. I would be, if my footy team isn't speaking to each other like that after a loss, as in I don't want them arguing and bittering and pointing fingers, and it becoming an issue. But if my footy team isn't into each other about errors made, I'm filthy.
And the play that they were arguing over was a shocker. It was Jerome Luai. It was a pass out to Jamin Salmon, and it floated in between him and the winger and went to no one in a crucial moment. As if you wouldn't be filthy over that. As if you don't want to sort it out. If they're not having these conversations, what are they doing?
Do you think Penrith have built a dynasty, or building a dynasty, I should say, in recent years off the back of mistakes like that happening, going, it's cool, mate, we'll get it next time.
Yeah, don't worry, all good.
And blow-ups like that would happen every game at every club. It was just that it was caught on camera, which was mad.
I loved it.
Watch.
It was so good
but it
to
happens
watch.
all the time.
And I'm sorry, tell me Freddie and Joey weren't handing out some of the greatest sprays of all time to their back rowers.
It's because we try to like put this nice sheen on rugby league now for the wider audience, because everyone wants to be offended about everything.
Imagine a Joey spray.
Be glorious.
And mate, I believe that if Penrith would have won that game, which they came very close to, Jerome Luai almost scored a match winner there. Great defence by Brisbane. Do you reckon we see that clip?
No, of course not. Look, I understand the media have got to show it. I love seeing it, but it's nothing to worry about. It's if anything, Jerome and Salmon could have been like, bro, we're back-to-back premiers. Who gives a shit? Lost a game. Who cares? I like the fact that they're filthy at each other. That's how high their standards are. Yep. Back-to-back premiers, they lost by 1 point to a Broncos team that had everything to play for. We're talking about a Broncos team that's just come out at one of the, arguably the worst off-season of any club. Arguably. They've got everything to play for, and it was a 1 point loss. And so, yeah, I think that any high-functioning industry where you're at the tippity top and you are playing for keeps and everyone is super competitive, you're going to have discussions like that where, that's just the way you talk. You've got to get it done. Otherwise, if you pitter-patter around something and, that's fine, rah, your standards just drop to nothing.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Jamin Salmon, I think we forget, 18 months ago, he was a centre/5'8". He's now on the left edge as a back rower for the Penrith Panthers, as if he doesn't have things still to learn. And you want your 5'8" to tell you.
Yeah. Agreed. So I don't think that's anything to worry about. If anything, I really like the standards it sets. I will say I've been watching the documentary, the All the Way with the Penrith Panthers. It's fantastic for one. So make sure you go check it out on 9 Now. It is absolutely fantastic. And what I love about it, though, I think that it's the first time you get an insight into how good of a coach Ivan is. The things that he says at the right time. He's very calm, very measured. More of a, like he would do the X's and O's. There's no denying that for sure. But just the presence of like the feel in the team, getting the boys up, I think it shines a real spotlight on his role and what happened there.
And also, like you always expect a coach to be, number one in charge and having an eye over everything. But, and I assume off the back of your comment before, Kemp, you would have noticed this too, but just the faith he has in his assistant coaches just to take care of these things. And sometimes the greatest asset of a good leader is being able to release instead of having to be over the top and controlling everything. And I thought that was really evident with Ivan.
Yeah, really evident. So it's a great doco, and it just gives you, it's the first time you actually get to see Ivan. Like, he's a back-to-back premiership winning coach, and no one even talks about him as like one of the best coaches in the comp. It's incredible. But yeah, with the Penny Panthers, in regards to the edges, they're definitely lacking punch. I actually thought Liam Martin had quite a good game, but I think the Garner situation is going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. Gets through his work to a degree, solid in defence, but I think that he could go looking for the ball a little bit more. Now, in his defence, if he's been told to sit down that edge and stay there, then that's unfair on him. But if he has been given a little bit of a licence to roam, I think that it would be good for him to really get involved in the middle there and get some ball in hand. Now, to be fair, he did have more runs than Martin, but I think Martin probably impacts the game more in defence. So, if you're not going to impact the game in defence, you've got to impact it in attack. And so I wonder, I think he'll be there next week, Garner. But I do think that he probably needs to get a little bit more involved.
And you did see in their World Club Challenge when he moved and you had Hoskins come in, he went looking for it. He had about 15 hit-ups.
Yes, 15 runs, 150 metres. Where you look at these stats, so 23 tackles. So he had 23 tackles and 10 runs, 97 metres, whereas Liam Martin had 9 runs for 75 metres, but he had 43 tackles. And so, I just think that... And he's in a new side, the premiership back-to-back. It's very hard to find your voice in that side. 100%. Just to roll in and be like, "Oh, give me the fucking ball now." It's very hard to do that.
Especially when the guy they're used to on that edge is, I was going to say, is the complete opposite to you. Is the complete opposite to everyone, essentially. Viliami Kikau, he's such a unique footballer.
Yeah.
It's always going to take time.
Going to take time. But I think, when you're in that period of, taking time, you just got to try to get through a fair bit of work. So you just show that, I'm keen, I'm here. He would be keen, but it's just to show the coach, all right, I may not be getting as good ball as, say, Viliami Kikau did, but I'll get through, 15 to 20 hit-ups or something. Or I'll get through 10 hit-ups and 40 tackles.
I'm happy to give him the benefit of the doubt, Garner, early. I've seen a lot of him and a lot of success he's had at the Tigers in a poor club. The fact that he goes and he's a completely different back rower to what that Penrith system is used to. We speak about all these combinations and how it takes time to work each other out. That is a completely new system. That whole left edge changes by Luke Garner there. And, Luke Garner is not a creative back rower who's going to sweep like Kikau did or do any of that. His best asset is he's a hard line runner.
Yep.
And Penrith will work that out and they'll work around him with that. And I really do hope we see it, and I'll back him to come good.
Yeah, I want to see him play some more footy. I think you probably give him the first month of first grade to really just put his stamp on games. And again, he doesn't have to be a world beater or whatever. But I do think Hoskins is probably putting pressure on him because Hoskins does get through quite a lot of work. Is Hoskins okay, so he's 18th man. I wonder, is there a world where Hoskins squeezes onto the bench?
I reckon there definitely is, because the tough thing with being 18th man, which you would assume Hoskins will be every week, is that he's not playing footy. He's not playing New South Wales Cup then. So I reckon there's a good chance that they might put him on the bench for maybe a Jamin Salmon or something.
Because I was going to say, you've got Sonny Luke, Scotty Sorensen, Spencer Lanu. Salmon, he's a utility makeshift back row, whereas you've already got your 14 there. And so I wonder whether their bench is a bit too small, maybe.
I was really surprised they went Salmon over Hoskins. Even I see Salmon coming on in Luke Garner's place on the edge. I don't think he's going to be as effective as him. And I get that he's there for utility value, but Luke Garner can also cover the back line. He was outstanding at times at centre for the Tigers.
Honestly, sometimes he was their best player at centre.
Yeah, he was great. Such a great defensive presence. So I think Hosking on the bench can come on and, instead of Salmon coming on with half hour to go, Hosking can come on and play 30 minutes there and give him the chance to win that spot, but I think that's better said.
And that's where I question, if the plan was the entire time for Garner to play 50 minutes, why wouldn't you have picked Hoskins? I don't reckon that was their plan going into it. I reckon they made that change on the fly.
Yeah, okay.
And put Salmon there. That's what has me worried.
Do you reckon, and it has you worried for Garner and like maybe he wasn't impacting enough, so they thought Salmon might?
Yep. I reckon they wanted to just try something new, and Salmon was the best option they had there.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I mean, that's a bit harsh on Garner, like one game.
Yeah.
But they also moved him in the World Club Challenge too, remember?
Scotty Sorensen failed HR in the weekend, so if he's not available, well, Hoskins
Definitely
pretty
been.
like for like can come in, play middle and edge, so we could see him this weekend regardless.
Yeah.
So hopefully Garner gets a few weeks. He didn't play bad by any stretch, by any stretch. It's just, I guess we're so used to seeing impact on the edge there that, they've rotated through. Like, it's crazy to think now, but like Liam Martin was on the bench while Capewell was starting. Like Liam Martin.
Exactly right. And that's the beauty of this footy side. Same as Jerome Luai and Jamin Salmon could have waited until Monday to have that conversation. They want to get shit sorted. They're in the winning premierships business.
Absolutely. Anyone stand out for Penrith for you guys? Dylan Edwards obviously gets through 1,000 metres, 289 metres, far out, 7 tackle breaks, a try assist. He's so good.
The only one I wanted to sort of point out as well, and again, I can seem critical of Critter at times, but it's because I hold him in such high regard, and we know he can be one of the best players in the NRL. He's just starting to run a little bit of a fine line with going for these intercepts.
Oh, yeah.
Because he let through that try for Herbie Farnworth, shot out, and his eyes lit up. He thought he had it, and he was beaten by an unbelievable pass. But, that could have been the difference in the game because it was an easy one-on-one tackle if he held his position.
They had numbers.
Yeah, and as far as I'm concerned, I look at the centre as from a very defensive mindset. I think most people look at it as the attacking heroics. But for every intercept you score, everyone you miss, that balances it out for me. So... And like you don't want to take it out of his game because he won a bloody grand final with an intercept, and he's had so many big moments with his intercept, and it's a great part of his game that he reads a game that well. Just got to be a little cautious on that.
And I think it's easy to say that after he misses one, but from talking to guys in that Penrith system, like he is so good at it that they back him to do it.
Yeah,
it's not going to work out every time, and I get that 100%. But he comes up trumps with it more often than not.
But that's the thing. I'm not convinced. It's because when it happens, it's the first highlight really out of that game because everyone loves an intercept. He's missed a few of them. It's not one.
I will say, from what I've seen from Critter this year, he has had errors creeping into his game that hasn't been there from yesteryear. He's still getting through a bunch of work, a bunch of tackle breaks. But like when you look at his stats, like great attacking, 6 tackle breaks, 143 metres, 9 tackles, 4 misses, an error, and then obviously you include the go for an intercept. So sometimes he's had so many big moments now. It's like sometimes you need to go, okay, let's take a step back and strip everything back again and then build back into those big moments. And look, I agree with Guru in regards to it's easy to say that now that he missed that one, but it still was a massive play. And then you go into the World Club Challenge, it was his error that was a massive error in a massive part of the game. So just got to just clean that little bit part of his game up and he'll be back to the Critter we know. Like he hasn't been playing poorly. I mean, World Club Challenge, he didn't have the best game. I won't deny that. On the weekend though, he's just, I don't know whether it's lack of concentration. I don't know what it is. Maybe everything that's been happening in the off-season for him in regards to being in the media is a lot for him as a young fella. He'll come good though. He'll come good.
And I think the off-field stuff has had a pretty big impact on Critter. From what I've gathered, without a doubt.
Well, because he cares. He actually
he cares
about the club.
He cares about that community. He cares about that club.
Yep.
He cares about it all. And I think he's been portrayed in a really unfair way.
Yeah, and he hasn't done anything wrong. And So I think that he'll come good. He'll come good. It's just a matter
Absolutely will.
Yeah, just a matter of just cleaning up those little things. And just sometimes you just need to take a step back, refocus, and almost build again. Okay, all right, I can make those huge plays, intercepts, and big game plays, but how about I just focus on getting through a bunch of work, getting my tackles done, and then later on in the season, I'll look towards those big plays when all the foundation's good. And look, Critter's a much better player than me and achieved way more than me. That's just outside looking in.
Achieved a bit more than us too, just
I Obviously, I haven't seen my Kiwi Colts in 16 dollars, mate.
But yeah, all in all, nothing to worry about with the Penrith Panthers. Not yet. Like, yeah, look, do they not look as good as the side last year? For sure. Like, there's absolutely no denying Api Coruscant and Viliami Kikau are massively missed. I think, personally, the best way going forward in this season for the Penrith Panthers, though, is to basically just ease into the year, get to the finals in the top 8, and then make your run towards the end of the year. I just can't see a world where they go a whole nother season with, like, losing 3 games. Like, I just can't see how they could physically do that.
Yeah, agreed. And I think that, you know, I understand the World Club Challenge as a trial, but, like, that's a game that the Penrith Panthers took very seriously. You know, I thought that their pack lost that game. Their pack definitely lost against the Broncos the other night. I thought, not very often you see them lose 2 in a row like that.
Yeah, it might be an energy thing. You know, like, they've had such a big few years. It's just going to I think it's just going to take them time to warm back into the contest because, you know, Fisher, Harris, Leota, they both went away for the World Cup and they're their core. Like, they are their core.
I also think a lot of it, without coming back to it too much, comes back to what we were talking about before about just how important your 9 is around the ruck. And when you do get Sonny Luke on there like he did in the last 25 minutes the other night, I think you'll start to see the forward pack get on the front foot once again.
Now, onto the Brizzy Broncos. What a win. What a win. Herbie Farnworth was absolutely outstanding. Haas, incredible. Paddy Carrigan, incredible. You know, I thought Ezra Mam's defence was outstanding, like absolutely outstanding. I mean, I thought he was outstanding, period. Like, the try that I think he set up was just crazy footwork. Where he steps Nathan Cleary, boom, away. I thought Kurt Catewell looked way more fit again. Like, I think that because he needed a shoulder reconstruction, I'm pretty sure it was last year. He had a shoulder injury. He needed a clean out or something.
Yep.
He looks like back to his the physicality that he could bring to games. As I said, Paddy Carrigan was absolutely phenomenal. You know, Jordan Reiki got through a bunch of work. Good on him. 39 tackles, 85 metres, no errors. You know, you have to give credit where, like, when they do what you want them to do, 4 one-on-one tackles, that's great from Jordan Reiki. Like, you can build so much on that game. Get through your work, do your job, and everything will come after that. Billy Walters, I thought, was good. What a win. What an incredible win. I will say, I guess there was 2. Corey Oates did some incredible carries, but those 2 errors in that crucial part of the game, like when you look at Oates and Selwyn Cobbo made 7 errors all up. It's just too much. You're letting down your forwards when you do stuff like that. Katoni Staggs, great in defence. His energy in defence was outstanding. In attack, though, only 4 runs. I really hope he can ease his way into getting, like, minimum 10 a game. Because you look across, Herbie Farnworth, 13 runs. You know, but to be fair, Herbie Farnworth only made 8 tackles. You know, Staggs doubled it. But outside of that, what a performance. What a team performance by the Broncos. Their defence was absolutely outstanding.
So I loved watching Ezra Mam.
So good.
He just brought energy. He was whacking blokes. You just mentioned then how he stepped Nathan Cleary. He's one of the better defensive players in the competition. He left him for dead.
Yeah.
He didn't get near him.
Yeah,
it was
crazy.
incredible. He's a freak. And it wasn't off a set play. It was off an offload on last tackle that Billy Walters probably got caught with the ball when he shouldn't have.
I think it was fourth tackle.
Fourth, wasn't it?
Yep.
Okay. And Ezra just made that work. I was very impressed with Ezra Mam. I love watching him play. And this, you know, there was always the chance that his second year he doesn't come back quite as well as what we hoped. And mate, all signs so far, he looks like he's going to be better than what he was last year.
Yeah, and you're right. Like, there's a world where you come in second year, you've played NRL now, so you think you've made it. He's come back even hungrier. He looks hungrier than he was last year. He looks more confident. Like, some of the shots he was pulling off on bigger boys. Like, Ezra Mam's not a big guy. He's not a big guy. He was jamming blokes. Timmy, what do you think about the Broncos?
Yeah, I love that. You know, it was a lot of probably not the bigger names in the side that stepped up. You know, some of the blokes that were the most impressive were Ezra Mam, who, you know, will be a superstar one day, I think, but at this stage, very, very early in his career. Man was terrific. As you said, Billy Walters had some really good creative moments out of dummy half. Herbie Farnworth was outstanding, so it wasn't necessarily the big names doing a lot of the damage. So no one had a clue what to expect from the Broncos in round 1. And they brought that attitude, particularly in defence, Kempy, as you said, that through that, particularly the middle stage of last season, where when they were down and out with numbers, issues, there was, the I suppose semi-infamous win against the Raiders when they had no one and they just got up for everything. It was that attitude at their best last year. And as a footy fan, it was great to see. It was great to see for the club. So, great signs.
Yeah. The only thing with Ezra, sometimes when you look at stats, they can be misleading because, he missed 7 tackles, but obviously you don't want him missing 7 tackles. If you could bring that down to 4 or whatever. But sometimes you'll trade missed tackles for energy.
Yep.
Sometimes you'll go, I would rather him get crazy line speed and jam someone and get bounced off because then they stop anyway and miss a tackle. Sometimes a missed tackle can be as simple as you rush out of the line and you force the player to go back inside and then the defensive cleans up in the middle. But I want to give a shout out. It won't be spoken about at all in regards to the highlights or whatever. Adam Reynolds, 27 tackles, only 1 miss. Adam Reynolds is not known for his defence. If anything, the knock on Reynolds is he can get injured and little nigglies here and there, even though when you look at his record, he's averaging more than 20 games a year. 27 tackles, only 1 miss. That's outstanding.
Well, he was in huge doubt for round 1.
Yeah. Paddy Carrigan, 50 tackles, 1 miss. Paddy Carrigan is a god amongst men. A god amongst men.
I thought Payne Arce and Pat Carrigan were just on another planet.
Another planet.
Unbelievable.
They were probably the best front row pairing in the I know he played 13, but he plays like a front rower in the comp on the weekend, I reckon.
Oh, I think for sure.
They were outstanding.
When you consider the guys they went up against and got the better of.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Good point.
Payne Haas, 207 metres, 19 runs, 84 post contact, 7 tackle breaks, 27 tackles, 0 misses.
24 kick metres.
24 kick metres.
Just get it in there, mate.
And zero errors. What a knock. What a knock. So now, I guess, for the Broncos, it's about backing it up. It's about doing it for the whole season. It's all well and good knocking off the premiers, but if you come out next week and get dusted, it means literally nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, I just add another positive to it. That was without Race Walsh.
Yeah.
You had him, he had him in, and someone Cobham moves back to the wing, which I think at the moment he's a better winger than what he is fullback. There's only upside to the Broncos at the moment.
I think that I will say, though, for the Broncos, they did get lucky with a few calls. That Sonny Luke one with the play of the ball was outrageous that was a penalty. Outrageous. And then Selwyn Cobbo obviously knocked the ball on at the end there. Jerome Luai was offside. So if they want to keep winning games, they can't afford to have these big errors. As I said, Selwyn Cobbo, 4 errors. Corey Oates, 3 errors. A lot of other top-tier teams are putting you to the sword doing that.
Yeah.
So if they can just clean that up, if the outside backs can just clean up the error rate, because last year I think was it Tony Staggs, Selwyn Cobbo and Corey Oates were in the top 10 of errors or something like that. That's just something they can't afford to do. Adam Reynolds, 629 kicking metres. Just what a knock. Nathan Cleary, 347. That's amazing from Reynolds. We're talking about a guy in the twilight of his career, and he's out kicking Nathan Cleary, one of the best to do it. It's amazing. Seriously.
I cannot wait for this Friday night, Broncos-Cowboys, the game of chess between Adam Reynolds and Chatty Townsend. They're 2 very similar teams. You've obviously got your 2 strike fullbacks. Your halfbacks are very similar. Stacked forward packs, they're unreal.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this game.
There's going to be a cracker. Absolute cracker. Herbie Farnworth. Jeez, you go, last week we're going, okay, maybe he's not the superstar showstopper, but he gets 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 every week. And then he comes out against the Penrith Panthers and becomes a superstar. And you're like, okay, hang on a sec. Let's pump the brakes. Did we make a huge... I mean, we definitely made an error in not being able to keep him, but it's gone from me being happy that, okay, Herbie Farnworth, he's been so good for us for so long. Go get your money, mate. He played so well that I'm all of a sudden going... is there a world where we consider, moving other people around to keep Herbie? Did we make a mistake in not doing that? He was incredible.
Herbie's a weird footballer in that I watch him play and he kills it, and then I come back in on Monday and I sit there and go, he's good, but he's not like a superstar. And then you watch him in the weekend again, you go, okay, maybe he is. Yeah. Then I get to Monday and go, he's good, but I feel like I'm in this constant...
I think it's because you don't see, I don't know, mad footwork with a big fend to a try, but he does it anyway, though. He just...
Yeah. I can't remember the last time Staggs and him were on the field, and I thought Staggs was better than him.
You know,
D'ing up on Critter, didn't miss a tackle.
Yep.
Like one of the best centers in the NRL.
Yeah, yeah. 8 tackles, 0 misses as well. Far out. And so it's like, as I said, it's gone from happy for him because he's been so good to, shit, have we missed a trick here in not moving things around to try to keep him? Should have he been one of our priority backs to sign? Now, look, I know our other backs to sign a long-term deal, so you can't just see you later. I don't know. Is there a world where at the end of this year we're going, he's our best back?
Quite possibly. He was right up there with it last year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
So good.
Which is like, then you go, Broncos just lost their best back.
He's by far and away your most consistent back, I
Oh,
think.
for sure. Absolutely. He's so good. He's going to be so good for the Dolphins. So good for the Dolphins. And I think that, you know, to your point last week, Timmy, where you said you can actually see him taking that next step into superstar, I think I agree. I think he genuinely might become a superstar. He may go from really good Mr. Consistent, so 8 out of 10 every week, to game breaker.
Yeah.
Because that's what he did on the weekend. We don't win that game if Herbie Farnworth isn't playing.
Yep. That's what you love to see. He's doing it against the top teams too. He's not beating up on the lower sides.
Yep. I mean, when he was playing for England, he did it against Australia. Was it Australia or New Zealand? Anyway, the top tier teams, Herbie Farnworth had his best game. So, yeah, look, really good signs for the Broncos. As I said, I want to give Jordan Ricky a rap. Got through his work, did his job, tough as nails on the edge there, didn't back down, wasn't overawed by anything. No errors as well, which we love to see. So, yeah, what a win by the Brizzy Broncos. Anything else?
No, I think that just about covers it for me.
All good?
All good. All right, just a quick break, boys. Oh.